Ladies and gentlemen, Empower TV Theater presents Conversations with Paul Costantini. And here is your host, Paul Costantini. I'm doing this scene where Newland Archer is discussing his family tradition in the classic written by Edith Wharton called The Age of Innocence. As far back as I can remember, New York can be divided into two great clans. Among the Mingots, you could dine on the canvasback duck, terrapin, and the vintage wines. At my family's house, we talk about the alpine scenery, the marble fawn, and Tepe Veuve Clicquot, but without a year, and without warming up croquettes from Philadelphia. Welcome to Conversations with Paul Costantini. It's a new talk show for Empower TV, and of course, that's me. I'm the host, Paul Costantini. You guys may know me from It's a Wonderful Life, the latest straight play we've done, and yes, I was George Bailey. I inherited the role from Jimmy Stewart, and it's a great guy, great role. And right.
What else have you been in, Paul?
I've been in a lot of productions. I'm a future Motorsports personality, and you may know, and I actually have done shows for Detour Theater Company. You may remember me as David from Newsies. I had all the Danny Zuko parts in the best of, and I was the third Willy Wonka to ever be not animated, but be shown. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Anyway, standing right next to me, the woman who defines the term artistic, an artistic director. Also, she's a triple threat. She's an actress, singer, dancer, and she's a voice artist and a voice instructor. The Detroit, Michigan native graduated from Bowling Green, Ohio 15 years ago with a degree in opera. She worked as a director for the Detour Company Theater. She also is a voice trainer here for the Children's Theater and the thing right here at Methodist Church. And she was even a star in her own band during COVID season with the multi-talented Abby Crossan. Let's give a big round of applause for, ladies and gentlemen, LaRiche Lamar. LaRiche, hey, nice to be on the show. Aren't you excited?
I'm super excited, Paul. I'm excited to hear all about you and to get all your questions.
Mostly it's all about you because you're the guest. Now, what made you decide to want to be in the music industry?
Well, I remember when I was very, very little, I always loved singing. I would listen to all the greats like Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey were my favorites, and then all of the gospel singers, and and Sarah Vaughan, the jazz singer. I loved them. I loved their voices, and so I just wanted to be like them, and that's how I started singing.
Okay, so when did you decide what was the first musical you ever saw, live or on TV, anywhere?
Oh my goodness, Paul, I'm not sure. I think the first musical I ever saw was Bye Bye Birdie. And then I just grew up on musicals. My family was really into like old-timey musicals like White Christmas and
Cinderella.
And Cinderella, of course. And that was one of the first ones that I fell in love with too.
That's cool. And now, who is your inspiration to go to? Like, who is your inspiration growing up? Like mine, of course, like I want to be an announcer for monster truck racing, motocross, and all that so badly. And my biggest inspirations were guys like Scott Douglas, Army Armstrong, and I would go around the room all day repeating lines from a TNT Motorsports syndicated hour called Tough Tracks and go around saying, and here comes the one they all come to see, Army, Gravedigger Dennis Anderson out of Chesapeake, Virginia. Bob, it's really amazing when he comes in the building with those red lights, those beady red lights, the crowd just kind of takes a deep breath because they know something's going to happen. Like, who inspired you who gave you the powerhouse that you have right here?
I think I was most inspired. Well, I think it's between like Whitney Houston and Sarah Vaughan. Whitney Houston, to me, is just one of the greatest voices ever in history. But then Sarah Vaughan is this absolutely beautiful jazz singer. And I just loved the darkness in her voice. And so I kind of imitated her, I think, a little bit for a long time.
I did the same thing, and of course, one of my biggest inspirations for acting is, of course, the guys like you got your John Travoltas, you've got your, you got your Barry Bostwicks, you've got your Henry Winkies, all those guys. They're really cool, and I was basically born to do impressions because
Paul,
for all you're out there, I have something that's called Asperger's. It's a diagnosis, not a disability. Some famous people had it. I'm not going to go through every single person, but
name a couple.
Jim Henson had it. Of course, the creator of the Muppets.
Yeah.
Of course, look where he landed. And of course, here's an impression for you. Hey Bert, what are you doing? I don't know, Ernie. Hey, this is Kermit the Frog here, and today I'm gonna say to introduce to you one of our very lovely and talented guest stars, Miss Julie Andrews. Yeah, when you have a voice like that, your brain is like a sponge. You absorb it.
Yeah.
Now, what was your go-to musical like?
My go-to musical, and like that I like to sing.
Yeah, back when you were a kid.
Oh, my go-to musical when I was a kid was definitely The Wizard of Oz. I loved The Wizard of Oz. I thought it was absolutely amazing, and we sang it around the house all the time. And then it was probably actually a movie musical, The Prince of Egypt. Because they just have the best music in that movie. Have you seen it?
Actually heard one of them before. Playing with the big boys now.
Yeah, you're playing with the big boys now.
Okay,
yeah.
Now, have you seen a Broadway musical live? Because my first musical that I ever saw on Broadway was Mrs. Doubtfire from 2022, 1 week after my cousin Zachary's wedding to Carly. And of course, my cousin Marge took me there. And, hey Marge, how you doing? Okay, this is, now, what was the first musical you saw in person?
I can't tell you the first musical I saw in person because I grew up in theater. So my uncle actually runs a theater in Detroit called Plowshares Theater Company. And he's had that company I think my entire life. So I grew up going to see a lot of different shows. But my favorite Broadway musical that I've seen is probably Six. Six the musical. Whoa! That is amazing.
I've seen that before.
It's about the 6 wives of Henry VIII.
Oh, right. I've learned about Henry VIII and
Anne Boleyn and all of his crazy.
Yeah, you're talking about King Henry VIII. Off with his head, right?
Off with his head, King Abe.
Okay, now, here's something that I think a lot of people want to know because you're so talented. What was the first musical you ever performed on stage you ever done in front of 52,000 people?
In front of 52,000? I don't know if I've sung in front of 52,000 people, Paul. Not yet in my life. Hopefully one day.
I just used that. It's because it's hard to count when you're standing.
It's so true.
Now, what do you think about when you're standing in front of a huge crowd, probably less/more than 52,000 people? Like, what do you think about when you perform?
I think about the message of the song or the message of the character. I find that if I think about the audience at all, then I get really nervous. I get really nervous because you start worrying about what people think about you, and I don't want to do that. So instead, I try to stay in character, and I try to really focus on what the character would be feeling at that moment. And if there's no like one character to focus on, then I try to really focus on the message of the song.
Oh yeah, I've been in that situation as well, you know, when
Yeah.
so tell me your first audition story. Were you terrified to audition at first?
I always get nervous after. So I go in very confident. I go in very, very confident and ready, and I'm totally okay. And then as soon as it's over, I'm like, that was so scary.
Like that chorus line moment, I hope I get it.
I hope I get it.
That's right. I thought the same way too when my first audition here. I mean, this is not like high school or maybe this is like, or Glee or anything, or High School Musical when they say, you audition for the part, you get it. This is different.
Yeah.
And this is like the movie industry, all that. And I happen to notice that you have a best friend who is an opera star. In fact, they call her the queen of the Portland opera century, Abby Crossan. Now, how long have you and Abby known each other?
We've known each other since college, since our freshman year of college.
Yeah, and I happen to know that you two are like awesome, like, you know.
Best friends forever.
Yeah, sort of
for
like.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is totally awesome. And you two even did something for YouTube back when COVID-19 was still going on. It was called the Porch Plays. Mm-hmm. And I saw 2 of your shows live. There was this Christmas thing which you did beautifully. What made you want to do this?
I felt like when we got to, first of all, Paul, I'm sure you can agree with this. Singing, acting, dancing, theater, arts, that is like my whole life, right? I think about it all the time. So when COVID happened, so many of the different concerts and events that we were supposed to do, boom, we couldn't do them, right? But everybody was missing music. So Abby and I decided that we wanted to do Porch Players so that we would have an outlet to be able to express ourselves and so that our friends could still have music in their lives. So that's why we started it.
So I notice you also have a family, and I know I've met your husband Andre and your son Damien.
Yes.
And I happen to know that directing, performing, and all that ties into family. So what's it like to have a job where you get to, you know, direct a show and spend time with family?
It's pretty magical. My favorite moment in this last year was when we had a rehearsal on Damien's birthday. We couldn't cancel it. Had to have the rehearsal. And Damien came in, and everybody in the whole company was so kind to him and sang him happy birthday, and it was just really beautiful to see him being a part of something too. I also think it's so important for Damien to grow up around people with disabilities, because now he loves everybody, right? He knows that people are just themselves, and that's okay. I have a question for you, even though this is your talk show.
Yes.
I gotta ask.
Go ahead.
What is your favorite thing about theater?
Well, my voice is my instrument. I pretty much was born to never stand still. I cannot stand still, and every day at schools, you know, every day I couldn't get some stuff out of my head. Even during like the first grade or so, it was like the first time I've heard, you know, every time I could be heard going like, today on Tough Tracks, we're taking a look at the greatest moments of 1989. And my teacher like, Paul, Paul Costantini, calm down.
So, well, was it the impressions, like your love of doing impressions, that made you say, I want to do theater?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
But you, Paul, you have your own really amazing personality and technique and voice and everything.
Yeah.
Which we saw when you were George in It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes, and on top of this, there's a lot of things you have to realize, LaRiche. Not every show is about you. You won't always get the lead, which was difficult for me to comprehend. So I tried out for Frozen, and I tried out for the main antagonist, Prince Hans, which went to my best buddy, Eric Nunn. I got the role of Kristoff, which was a really good thing for me, but the most mature role that I got was George Bailey, because he's married with kids and a successful job.
Are those things that you want out of your life?
Yeah, but being a parent is not that hard. Speaking of which, LaRiche, when you finally got married and you had kids, what did that have on you?
I think it just made me want to make the world better. I think having a baby that I know has to grow up in this world, I just want the world to be better. So that's why we started Empowered, so that we can, really showcase all the talents of people with disabilities, because there's not always those type of opportunities out there.
I've met a lot of legends like Molly Cheswick, who I've been in 6 shows with, Steve Schwartz, Eric Nunn. They're good people, and besides, I met you there. What made you want to be part of that organization?
I just feel like I said, I just want things to be better. I want the world to be better, and for us to be more accepting and kind to people who don't necessarily remind us of ourselves, right? Like, you don't have to be exactly like me, I don't have to be exactly like you, but we both love theater, we both love art, and we both love performing. So why can't we have this wonderful time together?
Exactly. So what musical lyric, movie quote, or a line defines your life? Like, what's your go-to line for all that?
My go-to line right now, my favorite message in a song is I'm Here from The Color Purple. It's all about Celie, this character who has been beat down and told that she's not worth anything for a very long time, until finally she realizes, you know what? I'm beautiful, I can do this for myself, and I'm gonna have a wonderful life because I'm capable of giving myself that. And it reminds me so much of all of us and the work that we're doing. We're here.
Yeah.
Paul, you're here.
Thank you. Well, there's something from a show called Glee. Well, my imaginary high school sweetheart, my main squeeze, as my babe,
Let's say it together,
Michelle,
Leah
Michelle, who has the most beautiful voice on the show, who played the lovely Rachel Berry, said something very sweet.
What'd she say?
Being a part of something makes you special.
All of these absolutely incredible artists with disabilities, or as you say, it's not a disability, it's a diagnosis. So all of these incredible artists with diagnosis. Paul, what would you tell other theater companies who want to work with people with diagnosis?
Well, here's something really funny. It's explore the space. This is from Saturday Night Live, Christopher Walken's More Cowbell. Explore the space. And here's another one which is family related. Two little mice fell into a bucket of cream. First mouse drowned, and the second mouse turned the cream into butter. You are that second mouse. Yeah.
So would you say that it's your time?
Yes, it is your time. You can just throw away the book and just be original, and that's what the love of the theater is all about.
I love it.
For the lovely and wickedly talented LaRiche Lamar,
Thank you,
I'm
Paul.
Paul Costantini. See you next time for the next conversation with Paul. When I was in Oakview, I read a book called The Stinky Cheese
That's
Man,
right.
and one of the stories, Chicken Lickin', I read in the style of Gilbert Gottfried.
Go ahead, do it.
Once upon a time, Chicken Lickin' was standing around and a piece of something falls on her head, so she goes around in circles clucking, "The sky is falling! The sky is falling! We must tell the president!" And they were shocked, and they were like, some were okay with it, but others were like, "Oh man, that guy..."